Thank you all for coming to Identifying Scam Networks. We've got an exciting panel today, and we're hoping that we'll get some great questions for the audience towards the end of this panel. My name is Kim Riedell. I'm from Commission Junction, and I'm the Vice President of Client Development. I've been with Commission Junction for approximately 8 years, and part of my responsibility has been to help identify fraud. So I have a distinguished panel here to my right. First is Hersh Sandhoo, and Hersh is the CEO of HealthConverter.com. HealthConverter.com has been around for about 1.5 years, and they're focusing on the health and beauty space. Hersh himself has over 30 years of experience in programming, and to look at him, that you must know that he started when he was 5. And he's been part of online marketing since around 1994. Next is Rebecca Madigan. She is the Executive Director of the Performance Marketing Association. Rebecca helped form the PMA and has been the Executive Director for approximately 2 years. Over the past year, she has worked very closely with networks and others within the Performance Marketing Association to create working groups. And most recently, they've had a working group on fraud, and she's going to talk a little bit about that and some things that they discovered with that working group. And then last, but certainly not least, on the end is Lucas Brown, and Lucas is the CEO of HasOffers.com. Lucas started in affiliate marketing in 2004 as an affiliate, and Has Offers is a technology provider that helps companies create affiliate programs. So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to have each panelist speak a little bit about this topic, and they're going to divide it up. So first, first is Hersh, and Hersh is first going to talk about red flags to look for within scam networks. Next, Rebecca's going to share her expertise, again, that she has from being on the PMA and her expertise working for a network. And then last but not least, Lucas is going to round out the discussion with some tips on how to build relationships with your partners so that you can make sure that you are identifying scam networks. So, and then after Lucas, what we're going to do is we're going to continue the dialogue with a few questions to the panel, and then we're going to open it up to all of you to ask any questions. For those who are not aware, you need to text your question. Up here, we will read it, and then we'll try and answer it within the panel. And again, we'll open it up after we have this full panel discussion. So, Hersh, if you would like to start.
Sure, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. So first, I'm just going to go over some basic red flags that should just show you that they're an area of concern. Just because a network might have some of these things doesn't necessarily mean it's a scam network. It's just something that you need to take into account while you're doing your due diligence before you either become an affiliate or an advertiser for them. Generally, you want to avoid any networks that have fees to become a member, or they don't have a very good affiliate verification process in place. Some just do phone verification, some just let anyone on. So you want to make sure that they're very proactive in identifying the good affiliates from the bad affiliates. Overly high CPAs or guaranteed high CPAs can tend to be a gray area. You just want to make sure to look at that closely, because as you guys know, EPC is definitely more important. Or if they're offering weekly payouts to everybody, just how the cycle ends up working, especially if you're in the continuity space. Especially for an advertiser, that can be very dangerous for you. If they don't require things like simple things like a W-9 or W-8 before they start giving out payments, or they allow non-compliant practices on the network. Networks are having to be very proactive nowadays with all the regulations and legislation that's coming on board to avoid risk and to help avoid further legislation for everybody. If they don't require prepays from advertisers, there's always a risk of the affiliates not being paid, and even if they guarantee it. But if you're doing high volume and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars or $1 million on that high level, the network just won't be feasible to pay you unless you're getting a prepay ahead of time. Some networks actually allow scrubbing, or they don't look for it to make sure their advertisers are not scrubbing. For those that don't know, really quickly, scrubbing is just a process where the advertiser will basically steal commissions from the affiliates by removing the pixel on some of the conversions. If they're black hat practices, we've actually dealt with some networks that actually integrate that, and they work with some of the affiliates. This is more from an advertiser point of view, where they use black hat practices in their processing. And please turn off your phones. I'll put them on silent.
Well, that's a really
Thank
good
you.
ringtone.
Good ringtone.
I thought I was at like the VMAs or something. They're like giving me the cue to hurry up. But so that can be, especially dangerous for everybody. And while that mainly affects advertisers, it will limit your selection, as good potential advertisers that convert are being forced out of the industry because all of a sudden their mids for the credit card processing blows up and they're TMF'd, and then the offer has to be taken down. Time in the industry is important, but again, Health Converter's been here for about 1.5 years, so you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. You look at their management side and their management team. What kind of experience do they have bringing into the network? Because there are also some networks that may be around for a long time in the industry space, but they don't really have the best practices at the same time. They're just kind of gone undetected. But also, do some due diligence on the management team, on the owners of the company. If you can find out, who the CEO or who the management team of a network is, that's, definitely a red flag. You want to make sure they're real people and that you have a chance, to meet them. They have a presence at these type of shows as well. And things that you can kind of be aware of that happen behind the scenes. It's really hard to detect on an affiliate level, but, like pyramids or Ponzi schemes where a network will take a prepay of one advertiser to pay the payouts of another one, and they keep that process going until eventually it can catch up to them. Some do information harvesting or deep brokering offers on other networks. Now, especially if a network is an agency of record, an AOR, for an offer, they can broker it and often do broker it to other networks. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you see the offer on every single network or a lot of different networks, that can be a sign that you just want to investigate a little bit more. And that's pretty much, some of the main red flags that I can come up with off the top of my head.
So next, Rebecca's going to talk a little bit about some of the resources that are out there and some of the things that she has seen with working with some of the working groups on the PMA.
I think it's interesting or important to sort of categorize things. We believe there are about 2,600 affiliate networks out there, entities that define themselves as affiliate networks, and there's a huge range, and we're here to talk about scam. So certainly, I want to emphasize as speaking as on behalf of the trade association that represents this wonderful industry, we believe this is a tremendously legitimate, effective type of advertising. But there is an element of fraud out there. And there's an element of fraud that ranges from trying to game the system and make money fast to real criminal behavior, like running stolen credit cards through system. And there are networks that are formed purely to hide criminal activity. And they're all the way on the other end, there are wonderful, legitimate networks that just happen to have some scammy publishers or advertisers, hit their system. And it's a constant game of whack-a-mole to keep those guys down, find out who they are, and keep them down. And the fraud ranges as well. I used to work with him at Commission Junction, so I kind of came in to this industry from a very skewed perspective that I didn't realize I had until I left and formed the PMA and saw the whole world out there. And we had this perspective that a lot of the fraud, or most of the fraud, was done by publishers, and that's not the case. There's as much fraud done by advertisers. So I think it's really important to understand when you're looking at a network, whether you're a publisher or an advertiser, to look at both sides to see what are they doing that will help you decide whether or not you want to be part of that. As Hersh mentioned, if you're seeing payouts that are greater than 50% of the price, that may not be an illegitimate offer, but it's going to attract a lot of bad guys who really want to make a lot of money fast. And there are certainly certain verticals and categories that seem to attract a lot of bad attention. And it's not only bad attention from fraudsters, but the regulators and the legislators pay a lot of attention to it. And you might not realize it, here in the US, and I believe it's the same in Europe, if you're an advertiser and you have publishers that are defrauding consumers without your knowledge, you can still be held responsible. And the opposite is true. If you're a publisher and you're running an illegitimate offer based on an advertiser's claims that are completely false, as the publisher, you can also be held responsible by the Federal Trade Commission and by law enforcement. So it's really important, to pay attention and look around. Some of the verticals or categories where they seem to attract some negative behavior. Not that these are necessarily by themselves illegitimate business models or categories, it's just that they tend to attract a lot of scam. Fake sweepstakes, free iPads or iPhones, I guess it's the whatever of the day. Payday loans, cash advances, gaming, free poker chips, various pharmaceuticals, the famous acai berry and Oprah, scam, various acne products, teeth whitening, get-rich-quick schemes, weight loss, cancer cures, kind of a new one, speed up your PC and antivirus, and the continuity and rebill offers. I mean, at the end of the day, is the consumer going to be misled? Is the consumer going to be defrauded? That's when you're going to see a lot of attention from law enforcement. I mean, we need to protect the consumer. We need to be transparent. We need to have make sure that the people are getting what they think they're buying, and that the ads are real and legitimate. And really, what we want to do is clean out this industry from all this garbage and mess so that we can attract the real advertising dollars, the big brands, the big money, the legitimate programs where consumers are really getting what they pay for. That's what's going to attract the big money. That's what's going to propel this industry into growth. And it's giving up the short-term get-rich-quick concept and looking at longevity and looking at real financial growth and potential. And so I'm challenging everybody in this industry to really take a hard look at, as my business, am I doing things, if I'm a network, am I accepting advertisers or publishers so I can make some quick cash, but prohibiting the real trusted advertisers from investing in this channel? We need to really take a hard look and make sure that we say no to the quick money and say yes to the long-term growth. That's where the real potential is. That's where we're going to see billions of dollars in this channel. Not the millions, but billions. That's the end of my soapbox speech.
Thank you, Rebecca. And then last but certainly not least, Lucas is going to talk a little bit about building trust and developing some positive relationships with your partners.
So when I got started in affiliate marketing, there was a lot of the same advertisers on all the networks. And the thing with Has Offers is we decided we want to empower more advertisers and networks to get involved. And with that, we've have lots of experience with enabling or working with our clients to develop trust with their affiliates. And so what is trust? Trust is a shared belief between two people that they're going to basically achieve a common purpose. And The interesting thing is that in affiliate marketing, what we're doing is affiliate marketing is built on business relationships, and a key component in all these business relationships is trust. And trust allows you as an affiliate marketer to go out there and to work with the top tier advertisers, to get exclusive offers, to get the top payouts. And in most cases, if you have lots of trust, you can get even priority payments. And so if you don't take into account your ability and to be trusted within the industry, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity that this industry has for you. And the interesting thing about trust is that there's no really good framework for trust. When we think about trust, we basically think about trust and we base it on our own experiences. Can I trust this person? Can I trust my friend? And so that's how we define trust. And in preparing for this panel, the best framework that I came up with is this doctor in 1993. He came up with 3 components that are actually required to develop trust. The first is the capacity of trusting. The second is one's perception of competence. And the third's one's perception of intentions. And so what's the capacity of trusting? Well, the capacity of trusting is your willingness to be trusted and to trust other people. And this means, and your capacity of trusting is basically all of your life's experiences, and it develops your ability to trust people and for you to trust others. And so Hersh talked about the red flags involved on how you can identify if you should trust people. And then Rebecca talked about the resources available for you to actually go out and decide if you want to actually trust someone. And so it's very important when you're deciding to work with new partners and develop new relationships, that you go out there and you take it upon yourself to actually decide and do your homework if you want to develop a business relationship with someone. And the interesting thing is that trust has been around since people have been interested in trust since Aristotle. And so the second thing is, to develop trust, you also need to be competent. And competence is like anything. You can't if you're not competent, sorry. So how many people here have actually gone to college for affiliate marketing? Anybody? And anybody actually gotten a certification for affiliate marketing? So the thing is that we're all involved in an industry where there's no standard for actually becoming competent in affiliate marketing. And that's what the exciting thing is that everybody here is motivated to learn about it, and you got to learn about it by yourselves. And what's even more exciting is what you find everybody involved in the industry is actually empowering other people to learn and become educated and become competent. And the most competent people in the industry, if you look around, like Shoe Money and Rebecca and other people in the room, the most competent people are the ones that are doing the best in the industry. And so it's up to you guys to go out there and to do your homework, do your research on the people that you're going to be working with, and you're going to want to stand behind that. And then the third thing is in order to develop trust, you're going to want to have a good perception of your intentions, and people are going to want to have a good perception of your intentions. And this basically boils down your reputation. If you want to be involved in affiliate marketing, you need to have a good reputation. And it is easy to go out there and make the quick bucks, but it's not always the best thing for you. It's like if you're in high school and you're doing a sporting event, or you play sports in high school, it would be awesome to go start and play for a professional football team right in the middle of high school, but you just can't do that. I mean, it'd be awesome. Some people do, and there are some exceptions to it. But it requires you to develop a track record, a proven track record of your intentions, of you being able to actually generate value for this industry. And with affiliate marketing and online advertising, we kind of are hidden behind the technology. And in doing so, you really forget about all the people involved. And it's not necessarily just the people, it's not, if you just concentrate on you yourself making a profit, which in most cases you do need to do, but you also need to take into account the networks that you are involved with, and also the advertisers. If you're not generating value for the network, if there's a network managing this relationship, and if you're not generating actually real value for the advertiser, the likelihood of your campaign lasting more than a week or a month or however long it takes the advertiser to determine if your affiliate marketing is not valuable, it's a short-term business. And so as an affiliate, you need to go out there and you need to develop a good reputation for yourself and a good track record. And with your reputation, you're going to be able to see some exciting opportunities and make tons of money, not just a little bit of money. It's very hard to, trust is telling the truth even when it's difficult, and it's tough. And as affiliate marketers, you're an entrepreneur and it's your business. And what's going to really separate all of your guys' abilities to build not just a good business, but a great business, is your guys' abilities to actually build a business for a greater good, not just good. So we challenge you to go out there and build some great affiliate marketing businesses.
Thanks, Lucas. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to ask a few questions to the panel. So I'm actually going to start with Lucas towards the end. So, affiliate marketing has a low barrier of entry. I think for those of you who are in this room, and Missy and Sean would probably be here to attest that this conference started off as a very small conference and has now grown to over 3,000 people. And part of that is because it is a pretty low barrier of entry to enter into affiliate marketing. So how do you respond to the idea that a low barrier of entry actually produces more scams or more scam networks out there? And is it really on the network to monitor those affiliates?
Well, on the first part, I mean, it comes down to education. And when I got started in affiliate marketing, there was very few advertisers involved. And what we do at Has Offers is we want to empower people to learn and have the tools capable to be successful in affiliate marketing. And in doing so, and lowering the barriers to allow more people to create affiliate programs and participate in affiliate marketing, it does leave opportunities for people to take advantage and come in and develop a network overnight and do some sort of scammy behavior. But the thing that you got to remember is there's the same number of individuals on the opposite side who are actually developing legitimate businesses and utilize affiliate marketing for an actual real good. And so we need to think about both sides, and we definitely do need to monitor fraud to make sure that doesn't get out of hand. But it is good lowering the barriers to entry, and I think enables our industry to grow to eventually get those billions of dollars that are still out there.
Yeah, and to innovate. I mean, we don't want to get in the way of innovation. I mean, that's really where the exciting things come. That's where we see big leaps of growth in this industry, or individuals see their companies grow in innovation. I think we just, as an industry, need to there needs to be an education and an expectation that you're building your business and innovating for the long-term growth, which means you have to be trustworthy and you have to have a good reputation. And I think this conference is really interesting because we have that stereotype of affiliates live in their mom's basement still, and they don't like to come out during the day, and I'm sure there's a lot of that. But this conference is a great proof of the people that are really successful in the industry are doing face-to-face business, and we need to foster that.
I think the innovation is key, Rebecca. I think one of the things that I think a lot of the big brand advertisers are seeing is that affiliates can actually be more innovative or entrepreneurial than they can actually be within their confines. And so that's one of the reasons that these big brands of the IR 500 have really flocked to affiliate marketing. It's performance-based, but it's also allowing them to gain consumers in a different way that they may not be able to do within their own confines of technology or expertise. So,
and they're starting to attract money. I mean, there's two
Yeah.
companies recently that got some big VC money. Offers.com, which is a publisher, and they got $9 million. And Ring Revenue, which does pay-per-call program technology, they just got $4 million. So we want more of that investment dollar coming in and spurring even more innovation.
And that spurs competition, which is good for everybody in the industry. I mean, now with Has Offers technology, Health Converter actually has our platform based on Has Offers, and even though we are very capital intensive and we could have gone to any, software platform, one of the things that attracted us to Has Offers was, how innovative they were and how they were always bringing out new feature sets for us. And, that really attracted us to us, whereas some of the other software available had kind of been stagnant over the years because they were just it. And the barrier to entry was so high for other people that they weren't coming out with these new innovative features that will benefit us as a network. And also, for example, if you're in a publisher, it gives you a great opportunity too. If you can do high volume, it now gives you the opportunity to go create your own network and say, I can do this amount of volume, this is my track record, and go to the advertiser directly and maybe negotiate a little bit higher prepay for yourself as well. So there are a lot of different angles, and that makes even the existing networks step up their game. Speaking from experience as the CEO of a network, it makes us want to make sure we're compliant and that we offer more value to our affiliates and our advertisers than allowing them to go off and do it themselves. Because now it's very easy that they can do that. I mean, you can get started for a couple $100, I believe, on the platform. So that is just beneficial for the whole industry overall. And again, talking about longevity, not just the quick buck.
And then at the end, I sort of asked a question, which I'm sorry to throw two in there at the same time. I'd be curious for the panel, is it on the network to monitor the affiliates, or is it on somebody else, or who's responsible for monitoring the affiliates and whether they're doing something wrong?
That's a good question. I think with legislation going on right now, a network would be silly not to start self-regulating that themselves. Because just the network itself will be at a lot of risk because they're the nexus of bringing the relationship together of the affiliate and the advertiser. So I think the safe bet would be for the network to do that, even though I'm not sure it's necessarily supposed to be their job, but I think just the way the nature of the business is.
That's a good screening, technique too, is the network doing fraud detection and prevention. But also, I think the advertiser, there's general fraud. We have some definitions, fraud and abuse. So fraud is when criminal activity is going on and you're literally stealing money and trying to defraud a consumer. And then there's abuse, where you're really abusing the system, gaming it, trying to steal commissions, trying to steal clicks away from other publishers. They have different sort of criminal liability, and that's why we've separated them. But if you're an advertiser too, you have a trademark or you have a brand that you want to protect. So it's up to you to make sure that your brand and trademarks are being protected. And I'm guessing most networks aren't going to take the time or the resources to do that on your behalf. So you really need to pay attention to that as well.
And the thing with that is one bad affiliate doing volume can kill your business. MasterCard, Visa regulations say that if you have only 1% of chargebacks or 100 chargebacks in a month, whichever is less, you'll actually, more, I guess the real threshold is 100, but if you have a lot of volume, it's 1% if it's more. But especially on the continuity model, that's extremely dangerous and very easy to happen if you're not, as an advertiser, making sure that you're set up for longevity. Some things like a lot of times advertisers, allow weekly volume, but the rebill doesn't hit for 14 days. So it's very easy for them to get scammed. And while it's not meant to be seen as punishing the good affiliates by not offering necessarily weekly payouts, because on the other side, there are costs, affiliates have with their own advertising that they want to be paid as quickly as possible. So as a network, we understand that, yes, affiliates, do want to get paid on a weekly basis instead of a bi-weekly or a monthly. But there's that level, like Rebecca was saying, that especially in the health and beauty industry vertical, that it's a lot of more, people trying to scam and game the system. So you kind of have to have a balance and realize that if you want to be with a network, for long term and not just hop from offer to offer to offer, you need to, be aware of that and understand that, okay, the reason they're not offering me, a weekly wire right now is that there's just not enough track history and there's not enough trust yet with them. So if you take the time to develop that, you're going to make a lot more money in the long run versus just the short term.
You know, I just wanted to clarify one thing. We live in this world, so we talk in shorthand here, but credit card, just a quick description of how credit card fraud can be perpetuated through this channel is if you have a network that has a payout of, let's say, 24 hours or a week, it's right for fraudsters with stolen credit cards to come in and buy a bunch of product, fake purchases of fake product using stolen credit cards. They get their affiliate payout. They're also the affiliate. They get their payout from the network. And then 30 days later, it's found out that those are fraudulent credit cards. And so all of those sales are backed out. Meanwhile, those scammers have not only, you know, gotten a chargeback, but and possibly gotten product that they can then turn around and sell somewhere else, but they've also gotten their affiliate commission, and then they move on and to the next one. So it's if you have a short affiliate window payout by a network, that makes it really easy for stolen credit cards to come through the network.
And the advertiser has a danger of being TMF'd, so that means they're not going to be able to process credit cards anymore under that name, and you've just destroyed the brand and all the time and effort you've gone to establish that brand recognition. And it also will make it harder for you to get credit card processing in the future under your own name or your company name as well. And, you know, 100 chargebacks in the continuity space, I mean, it's pretty easy even if the terms are clear and you're compliant, because you don't have to necessarily, the way they work is that it's 100 chargebacks, period. It doesn't matter if you win 99 of them. If you have 100, regardless, you're going to be in trouble.
So Rebecca, you did a good description of what the difference between fraud and bad behavior is, and I think that's important because a lot of times it's classified all as fraud, and it's really not fraud. Could you talk a little bit more about sort of what are the latest trends you're seeing? I know you had this working group with some of the major networks. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what the trends that they saw and some of the things that they want to do moving forward.
Yeah, we formed this working group. It's made up of fraud compliance experts from all of the networks, as well as some solution providers. And like I mentioned, it's sort of a game of whack-a-mole, right? So you see these various things pop up, and if fraudsters could only take all of the time and effort that they spend on gaming the system and put it towards good, they'd probably make a lot more money. But you know, the standard bad behavior is like I mentioned, credit card fraud, false advertising. That'll get you in big trouble. And there's been some recent reports in the news of the FBI storming some affiliate businesses because of false advertising and thrown in jail. So it is serious. It's being taken very seriously. Cookie stuffing, there's a famous case involving eBay that they along with law enforcement, I actually don't know enough of the details. I don't think eBay can make the criminal charge, but they worked with the FBI in going after an affiliate for cookie stuffing, and they're being criminally prosecuted for cookie stuffing. So, and that's when you're basically stealing commissions from another publisher. The stealing of leads, click fraud, all of those things, false leads, those tend to perpetuate. Email fraud, scamming or spam, is still, obviously, we all know in our inbox, still very common. And I think what we try to do with our working group is open a dialogue between networks who see these patterns of behavior. It's very easy to identify patterns of behavior, and sharing identities or information or clues about these patterns of behavior to just continually stay on top of it. And what's really interesting from my perspective is the networks are the fiercest competitors in this industry. They're all competing for the same business. And they have agreed, I think for the first time, this is the area where they have agreed to sit at this table and work together to go after this problem. It's a difficult problem to go after. Continually identifying the sort of innovative ways to be fraudulent it takes a lot of diligence, but we need to stop spending money in that area and shift the money over to the legitimate programs.
Okay. So Hersh, You've talked a lot about working with networks, and so what advice would you give an advertiser who wants to work with multiple networks?
Okay, this is a good one. So, if you're an advertiser and you're just beginning to launch an offer, again, the most dangerous thing that you have is that your credit card processing will be taken away and you'll be TMF'd. There are workarounds like going offshore and other type of things, but really, even the regulations on that stuff is getting cracked down on by the government and by regulations. So number one, don't allow weekly payouts on your offers unless it's a trusted, a long-term relationship. Two, make sure your CPAs back out. A lot of times advertisers want to get a lot of traction and say, okay, here's a $50 CPA, here's a $40 CPA. So make sure you do your numbers and have some data to back up and correlate that. A lot of advertisers like, well, let me break even on the initial rebill, and then all the ongoing, monthly payments on the continuity cycle will be pure profit. So again, with weekly payouts or anything under the bi-weekly even, it gets tough to identify when someone's gaming the system. Make sure your landing page is FDA, FTC, Visa, MasterCard compliant. You want to make sure you have enough processing, but you have to be aware of regulations like, switching mids is not really, allowed anymore, and that was the way that a lot of people were doing it because they could only get $5,000 processing. Like for the health and beauty vertical, credit card processing was pretty hard to come by, especially with all the Aussie, scams and that happened. So the companies were only getting like 5,000 processing. So they would go 5,000 here, 10,000 here, 5,000 here, and then they would have software that would just allow them to switch the mids out. But you can't really do that anymore. If you go offshore, you never know if those people can run off with your money, and the rates are a lot higher, and there's a perception like if you're going offshore, you must be doing something shady. Let me see. So also like things like your testimonials, make sure you have affidavits for your testimonials that are not made up. Beware of your brand and how the affiliates are using your brand. Like Rebecca said, that's really important. A lot of affiliates will use your product name .org or .tv, and if they're doing something that's illegal or border on criminal, you could still be responsible for it. And it just does a bad thing when all of a sudden some types in your product name and the word scam appears up in the Google suggest. And then like things like, you're not allowed to have media logos on your landing pages anymore at all. You can't even say no 100% guarantee. You can say, satisfaction guarantee, but you can't use 100%. You're not allowed to use the word free at all, like free trial. You can't use it if you're charging shipping and handling, unless it's a true $0 transaction on the initial sale. You have to have negative billing options. Those kind of basics that everyone's kind of aware of. Now, with that, though, the hardest part is you have to have a page that converts. And then with all these regulations, it's kind of a fine balance. Well, how do you have a page that converts well while still being compliant with all these avenues? So you have to do testing. There's no way around it. And a lot of times advertisers will come to us and say, here's our site, and, my 14-year-old put it together using front page, make me $1 million. I want 1,000 leads a day. And really, that's not realistic. So you have to test it first, and I would say test it yourself first. If you're able to get some sales and good conversion rates, then it's time to release it to the network. Because once your brand has a bad reputation, it's going to be extremely hard for your affiliate managers to get any traction on it. Because affiliates are putting their own money on the line to test out your product. It's not fair to the affiliates to be testing out. They want something that works, and they're coming to the network for that relationship. So for example, at Health Converter, we actually will do some internal testing ourselves before we bring on an advertiser. We will require the advertiser to put at least a $25,000 prepay to ensure that our affiliates are going to get paid as well. And then as an advertiser, be willing to have the capital to put that prepay down. If you're working with a legitimate network or a very, very capital-intensive network, then you have to be prepared to do that. And even large networks are still getting burned by that. There was a huge brand of health and beauty products that just went down, And this major network was unable to pay the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm not sure it went up to $1 million, but it was extremely high to their affiliates. So that just sours all of the relationships. And then you got to be proactive in fraud detection and affiliate rebill rates. So block any affiliates that don't meet your thresholds. And by that means, if you're not profitable at a 50% rebill rate, any affiliate that's bringing 50% or less, you got to tell the network, I want to have them off the offer.
I just want to add, though, that doesn't mean they're fraudulent publishers. It just
Well,
means they're crappy
exactly.
publishers.
Right.
Which is bad for your program, too, but they're, it's different.
Well, you also see that sometimes a product like teeth whitener is horrible for conversion rates and rebill rates. So it could also be the product, too. It's not necessarily just the affiliate's fault or the network's fault. So you have to look at all those factors. Is this a product that I want to actually have, and will it back out? Block affiliates if they're violating terms, even if they have high rebill rates. We had an affiliate doing 60% rebill rates, but he was scamming people using Craigslist. So there's conversion, and we just cut them off, even though they were, a pretty good affiliate in that terms. You just can't have that as an advertiser, because then all you need is 100 chargebacks or 1%. And I can't emphasize that enough, and your business is gone. So you have to be extremely proactive in that regard. And then, make sure your back end is tight. You have to have customer service. Make it easy for people to cancel off of continuity. I know it kind of sucks. People want to hide it. But the more transparent you are, the less criminal and civil liability you'll have. So you can be criminally okay, but you can still have civil liability if you're making it hard for people to cancel. Make sure your fulfillment's tight. Regulations require that on a continuity basis, they have to be there in 11 days of the trial, even if it's a 14-day trial. If that product is not there in 11 days, you're in violation of regulations. And that can just cause a whole bunch of trouble for you. Start off with US and Canada or for fulfillment. International shipping is a nightmare in itself. Again, even though technically you don't have to necessarily abide by that 14-day continuity billing rule, and getting there 11 days with international. It can take 2 weeks with customs, 3 weeks with customs to get a product, and you're just going to get more chargebacks again as well. And so unless you start going into having fulfillment centers in those countries or in the European Union and stuff, to be honest, it's not worth the headache unless you have an established brand going forward that has proven rebill rates.
What if you're an affiliate? How do you prevent getting yourself in trouble or identifying a scam network? There's lots of offers out there. You guys mentioned some advertisers who, may have an offer that's not exactly up and up. And so, what are some things you should look at if you're an affiliate, if you want to get into?
Well, if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. That's I think a good litmus test of pretty much anything. I think the categories that I ran down earlier have a watch list by the Federal Trade Commission and the FBI, and those are areas that you really want to look at the testimonials. You want to look at the credibility, like Hersh was saying. That you should be able to find out information on a Google search about them. You should find out information about the validity of their claims. That's all required to be documented. Their health studies need to be verified and validated, and if they are legitimate, they're going to tout the fact that they're legitimate. And so you have to do your homework. Looking up a network on Google, can you find their contact information and their executive information? I met or heard a guy speak. He said he started out as a black hat affiliate, and then he made a bunch of money and decided to and got blacklisted everywhere. So he had all this cash, so he decided to start a legitimate network. And I was tempted to come to this session and do some name dropping, but I decided that's not very cool. So I'm not going to name drop the company. But I was really curious, so I went to the website. You cannot find a single piece of information out about that company, not where they're located, not who's on the staff, not about their mission, none of the basic sort of core website stuff that you should have. You had to sign up before you could get any information. And to me, that is a bad sign. I don't want to partner with someone like that. Check the references. If you know other publishers, this is a great place. Talk to other publishers about offers. Look at the competition, see how they stack up. I mean, you're, as an affiliate, you're investing your money first, right, in advance of the advertiser. That's the beauty of this channel for advertisers, is the publishers make the upfront investment. Well, if you're spending money, you better do your homework. It's worth it. And those are the offers that are going to convert. And if you're working with account managers at agencies or your network, that's a great place to see how they stack up. A lot of the networks have rankings, and see how they're producing. The more transparency in this industry, the better. I would say too, just as something that the PMA has, our trade association, is we're fairly new, but what we hope to have someday soon is that people that believe in the industry and believe in transparency and want to be public about their involvement in the industry, those are the people that join the PMA, the trade association. And so we provide a reference for them. We are going to announce on Monday a code of conduct that our members are about to review. They'll start the review process in the next month and then vote on this code of conduct. And to become a PMA member, you must sign the code of conduct. And so we hope that sets a baseline for people to say at least that's some screening, and we know that these companies, these affiliates, these networks, these advertisers, and these solution providers, and these agencies have all agreed to do business in this way.
And don't be afraid to ask the network or your affiliate manager that. Things like, are they on a prepay? If so, how much? Do they have testimony affidavits? Like now, Health Converter requires all advertisers to have a testimonial affidavit on file with us before we'll launch their offer. That protects us, but also protects the affiliates, because then, if you ever need that documentation, we can provide that for you as well.
And I think there's a lot of good industry blogs and resources that you can go in and do some fairly good research on these companies. I think probably one of the better ones for affiliate networks is affiliatepaying.com. Members go in there and write their own reviews and rate the affiliate networks and talk about their experiences. And then you have all the other industry bloggers, Shoe Money, John Chow, Jonathan Volk, Industry Pace. They all write good blogs, and when someone's not doing something right, or there's something weird going on in the industry, more than likely these guys are going to be covering it and let you know if these networks are good to work with or if they're not good to work with. So definitely do your homework, go to Google, at least go through the first 2 pages on Google and check these guys out.
And make a phone call.
I feel like I've been Googled already while we're here.
So I have a last question before I open it up to the audience. So if you identify a scam network, what do you do about it? I think everybody's asking that question.
Yeah, that's tough right now, especially with how the network is, just how the industry is, really. I think networks need to get together, and I would almost say, ideally, we could self-regulate and have a system in place where we could share that kind of data to blacklist, bad affiliates, or networks also.
Certainly let us know at the PMA.
Yeah.
We are self-regulating is a big challenge. It is something that we need to do. How we do it, how we identify a publisher as whether or not they're scammy or they're just bad publishers is very challenging. It's a problem we've been working on for a couple of years. So it's not just an easy thing that we can just blacklist somebody, or somebody made an innocent mistake, or they pissed the wrong person off.
Right.
We have to be very careful about that.
Because there's also a learning curve in the industry too. No one started off like, okay, let me get affiliate marketing for dummies, and then I'm going to make $1 million. The more time you spend in the industry, the more you learn, and the more profitable you get. So it's a I don't know. Luke, do you have any insight? It's a tough question, actually.
Yeah, there's really no standard in the industry or resources on where you're supposed to go for these scam affiliate networks. But I definitely, when you work with good networks, good and bad networks, definitely voice your opinion. That's the only way that our industry is going to become more trustworthy and transparent, and enable us to grow and attract more advertising dollars in our industry. So yeah, tell people about the bad people that you guys know, and tell people about the good people you guys know.
Because right now there's so much money to be made in the industry right now
But I mean, it's peanuts what, if we get our act together as a whole collective, can be making. You know,
Yeah.
we were talking about instead
Well,
of.
the top 100 global brand advertisers are only spending 1% of their budgets online. So that's, I don't know, a few $1 billion. There's another $150 billion in advertising spend that's not online yet. So there's a lot of money to be made.
Okay, so the only question we have thus far up there is, can I get a list of scam networks? I wish we had one, and if we did, I'm not sure if we could actually give it out to you.
It's an initiative, though, that the PMA, we are working on what we can disclose, how we define, how we gather information, how legitimate that information is, and then how we can share that information.
So I think the best thing is word of mouth. You know, talk to other affiliates and network with them and get to know each other at these type of events. And just through word of mouth, you guys will begin to know who's real, who's not.
I don't think we can take a voice question.
well-
No, I'm just kidding. No.
Okay, go ahead.
So, of the 2,600 estimated networks, what percentage do you think there are of those that are frauds?
Well, that's a good
That's
question.
a
and
great
We're trying to figure that out, I know. And that's, do we have a reputation problem that's bigger than the fraud problem, or do we have a fraud problem bigger than the reputation problem?
That's
And-
good.
And I would say, too, that every network has some fraud, because these guys are really creative and they're going to go after any channel. And they may have a legitimate program in one network only to act as a cover or a front for some scammy stuff. My best hope is it's under 10%. That's my best hope.
I think it's going to be more than that. But also, if a network ever says they have 0% fraud,
It's not possible.
that's a red flag right there. Run. You know, if they say they have 0% fraud, because it's impossible for that to happen.
And I think all the networks, and speaking on CJ's behalf, we're always trying to prevent fraud. And I think it's a battle between, is it bad behavior or is it truly legitimate fraud? And so, we've got a lot of tools in order to do that. And with this working group that we've been integral in on the PMA, we've been really learning more about how, as an industry, we can move forward and combat it and find out who these guys are and stop them as quickly as possible.
Yeah, there's the scale of badness, I mean, we believe, so our charter is to grow performance marketing, and we can't grow it unless we can build trust, and we can't build trust until we can quantify that. And we've been working on it for 2 years. We're still working on it.
Any other questions? Oh, I see one in the back. I don't know what's.
It's my first time participating, so not a lot. My question is, how do you think the trend to SaaS models is going to affect scam networks?
So the question was, how is the trend to SaaS models going to affect networks? Anybody?
Yeah, it's twofold. I mean, Ed has offers. I mean, obviously, it's more directed to us because we are a SaaS platform providing affiliate tracking software. But it's definitely twofold. It's gonna require us to put more resources into making sure that the networks that are involved on our platform are good. I mean, we're in the same position as Amazon.com. Amazon.com was running WikiLeaks and also promoting a few other books that the public,
Yeah.
pedophile books. So it's not necessarily the SaaS model that's the problem. It's the way the industry is moving. Is technology is forcing companies to become more lenient and more flexible and provide more flexible models. And as businesses change and adapt, we need to come up with ways and figure out how to combat that. I think it's something we all need to work on together. It's not something that has offers by ourselves can do, because there's a lot of other SaaS platforms and even new competitors that are starting up to even compete with us. So I think it's something that we all need to figure out and how to combat it.
It's kind of like social media, the real-time experiment we're all participating in, where social media has opened up doors we never imagined in terms of communication and transparency, but it's also exposed personal privacy in ways nobody ever expected. So how hard do you push? Where's what line, and how hard of a line is there? And
I think we have to be careful about the regulation aspect too. If we don't self-regulate, the government's going to regulate for us, and that can cause so much, it can destroy our industry. We were talking about the, what
Do
was
not
it?
track.
The do not
do not
track
track
law that
right.
they're thinking about coming, where people can opt out of cookie tracking. So if that happens, you know, tracking affiliate commissions or tracking the bad fraud, it becomes so much more complicated, and it can really destroy the industry.
Yeah, the Federal Trade Commission has a proposal to allow consumers to decide not to be tracked by opting out of cookie tracking. It's so broad-reaching that the implications are pretty serious. I mean, if it was adopted as intended or written, I shouldn't say intended, as written, I mean, a consumer couldn't participate in e-commerce. They couldn't work with a checkout. So that's one extreme. The other is that they're blocked from intelligent, behavioral, relevant, targeted advertising. And from a consumer perspective, that's a pretty powerful, useful thing. So they're very open. We're working, the PMA is working with them along with the FTC, along with a lot of our members and a lot of other organizations and companies to respond to this proposal with a reasonable set of solutions. Certainly, transparency and disclosure to consumers is very important, and giving them choices and understanding of what's good tracking or bad tracking of their privacy settings is very important. But we don't want to destroy, you know, our industry and by total broad reaching regulation that locks us down.
I think that's all the time we have. I just want to remind everybody, if you could please fill out your survey forms and hand them out to the lovely lady in the back. And we want to thank you. If you have any additional questions, we're all going to be here, and you feel free to come up front and ask us whatever else you might have on your mind. Thanks so much for attending. We really appreciate it.